So how does AAPG fit into this? I mean, how does AAPG as a professional organization help us maintain that ratio? AAPG gives us the tools to do this. AAPG gives us publications. It gives us Hedberg conferences where we advance the science, publications where we disseminate the science, conventions like this one where we're coming primarily to see the science, except when you get to my age, you come and you do a lot of networking and don't get to see nearly as many of the talks as you'd like to see, but AAPG is really involved in the science. Now, AAPG, let me just talk a little bit about AAPG. If you lay it out nicely and squarely like this, it looks like it's fairly well organized, but in fact, a lot of times it looks like a bird's nest, all right? This is in fact a strength of the operation. I know it frustrates Rick like crazy, but this is a strength of the organization because there are a lot of different entities and they're all bringing new ideas into the mix, into the fray. And in the middle of there, you'll notice there's 36,000 AAPG members. And each one of them has very strong opinions, strong ideas, and a good, strong scientific background, which means that sometimes we get wrapped around the axle about some various events. So, you know, global climate change, yeah, it's an important issue, and we bring things to it, but it's not necessarily something that we should allow to dominate our particular organization at this point. You know, that said, I think the polar bears are not going to go floating gently off on the ice floes anytime soon. They're going to get their own back before they do. All right, let me talk a little bit of detail about how AAPG membership breaks down. We've got about 36,000 members here, and about 7,200 of them are employed by major oil companies. And another 2,000 of them are employed by the service companies. These are very important components of AAPG. Not only do they help sponsor meetings like this, but they provide a lot of the authors for our publications. They are just a tremendous asset to us as an organization. And hopefully we give enough back to them in terms of providing tools for their members to continue doing their jobs, that we maintain this very strong relationship. We've got a corporate advisory board that Bobby Ryan chairs, and it's just a tremendous organization to see in action. We also have an equally large, matter of fact, a larger group composed of consultants, independents, and small oil companies. These are defined as something less than 200 employees. These are also a very, very important part of our organization. The small independents use our publications. They provide chairs to our sessions. These people are just the backbone of what AAPG is all about. We've got people in academia, students and professors. And if you look at this, you know, the education chart here is probably the professors, although they don't necessarily break that out that way. But the ratio is about 5 students to 1 professor on this chart. And that's about right. What we'd really like to do is drive up the number of professors so that we can get, because the professors are going to bring the students into the organization. We've also got about 300 people who list their primary employment as environmental, which is very interesting to me because Mike Jacobs tells me that the Division of Environmental Geology, our environmental operation here in AAPG, has about 1,100 members. And that's telling you something about our commitment. There are more people who are members of the Division of Environmental Geology than actually work in the environmental geology operation. So this is very important. This tells you something about our philosophy. Yes, we're out there drilling wells, but we're also good stewards of our environment. Then you get into the various state and federal regulatory operations. These are very important people, people like Edie Allison working for the Department of Energy. We need these people because these are the ones who help regulate our industry. And the more we can get them into our organization, the more we can, in fact, have an influence on, let the science influence their decisions, the good rational decisions about how we go about actually conducting our business. Finally, we've got about 1,400 retired people that still belong to AAPG, and this is very telling. This tells me that even though they're no longer active in petroleum industry, they're still interested in the community of AAPG. It's a great statistic to have. We're globalizing, we're getting out and beyond. And let me just tell you a brief little anecdote here. We had our international convention and exhibition, our ACE, in Cape Town, South Africa, a year and a half ago. And I had the pleasure with some friends of climbing South Mountain, or Table Mountain, I mean. And unfortunately, it was the foggy that day. But as we got to the top, we kind of a little faster than the next group ahead, and there's somebody up in the head, and you see that little red disc on the back of the middle guy's shirt? Get a little closer. Gosh, these guys are every place, right? Well, not surprising. We've got a third of our membership is, in fact, international. This is where we have the most potential for growth. This is where we have great opportunities to help promulgate our science into the rest of the world. As I was, in fact, making some of my visits associated with being a president for a year, I had the opportunity to talk to a variety of student operations. And the constant theme, there were a variety of questions, but the constant theme was, we're graduating soon. Last year, oil industry snapped up everybody. This year, it's not so fast. Will there be jobs for the oil finders? And you've got to remember that oil finders are not built in a day. Experience counts for more in this industry than probably any other industry that I'm aware of, just because we're dealing with incomplete data sets. We're dealing with subsurface data where we've got this one-dimensional data instead of three. It's very difficult for somebody straight out of school to start applying school learning. It's like the difference between school English and fluency in English. Experience really counts for a lot in this. And this is our AAPG awardee, Bob Allen. 87 years old, still working in finding oil in Ardmore, Oklahoma. It was my pleasure to visit the Ardmore Geological Society, and he was my host. His experience over the years has found tremendous amounts of oil and done a tremendous amount of good for our industry. So will there be jobs for future oil finders? Yes. Population growth is going up. Each one of them is going to need oil, energy of some kind. Oil still, as Scott Tinker says, the bridge. Per capita consumption, in fact, is going up. So each one of those new people that wants energy is going to want more energy than today's people in their position. Oil's getting harder to find. We're going to need geologists to find it. And we've got an aging workforce. People my age, we're going to wander off and do something with a canoe someday pretty soon. So yes, there are jobs, and it's difficult to tell the students that, yeah, you'd have to be patient a little bit. What we have to do is get the students into the industry so they start developing the experience like Bob Allen, and then when we have the need, by golly, we'll have it. We'll have this experienced workforce. So yes, will there be oil finders? You betcha there will be. This despite the fact that there are misconceptions out there. Okay? With that, I thank you very much. It has been a distinct honor to be your president for this year.